having a great time with David Rabin, hearing some great stories, reminiscing. He's really been, I'm not sure if everyone knows, he's been so, important to so many nightlife experiences and really has hired so many people that have gone on to become these, you know, really successful people. So I'm excited. I want to give him a proper goodbye. Excited to send him off.
Thank you. So yeah, everybody, TK Wonder's on here as well. So my thing is though,
TK.
I posted the invite and, I've done 86 of these and people, with Beverly, Beverly hasn't done it yet, but Frank Roberts, Erica, whoever we mentioned, people get excited, but people were particularly excited when you were doing it because the reality is everyone does love you. Like every person that's ever worked for you, everyone kind of loves you. So I think it really tells a lot about you. And I think that, there was like this big excitement all day. People said, I can't wait, very excited for tonight, things like that, where they don't usually say it for other people. So I just want to, pay you that compliment, be like, it really does say a lot about you that everybody does love you. So,
Damon, that's so sweet. And it means the world to me because, this is a business where people, even people in my own family were like, you're doing what? You're leaving law to become a nightclub owner? And
yeah.
My parents weren't. They were very cool. But other people sort of looked at me with the side eye. And I have to say, I've met some of the most wonderful people with the most integrity and the most kindness. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. I could be a partner in a law firm right now and hating my life, and
yeah.
It's been an honor. And the odd thing is we had 6 projects under development when all this shit happened. So at least 5 of them are moving forward. So for me, what would be the best is if I get to work with all these people for another 10 years, that would be the thrill for me.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a couple of fun questions.
Okay.
5 best parties of all time you've been to.
That I've been to? I don't even know if I can count to 5. I would say.
Or that you did. They could be your venues where 5 best parties that you can remember of all time.
Well, for sure, the most memorable that we ever did were 2. One was the first when we talked Fern Malice into letting us turn the tents of Fashion Week into the first year of Fashion Week in Bryant Park into a nightclub. I don't know if you were in New York yet, but I took a look at the tents the first season, and I'm like, Fern, this is a club. It's got all the lighting. It's got all the sound. It's big enough. It's a central location. We got a sponsor. We had about 1,500 people there. I mean, every supermodel on the planet. And, JFK Jr., who, again, may rest in peace, but was a good friend at that time. And all these. And then we did it again 6 months later. And there was a whole thing in the newspapers about Naomi not coming because she didn't get in the first time. And it turned into this whole thing. But 3,000 people came. And because it was free. You just had to be able to get in. And the police went to Fern Malice, who was the founder of the CFDA, and said, Fern, you can either have Fashion Week or you can have this party, but you can't have both. Because we basically we shut down the city quite unintentionally, but there was so much, 6th Avenue and 5th Avenue literally came to a halt. And then another party that we did, it was probably the dumbest thing, looking back, you do things because you think that, you don't even think when you're that age. But just when we were closing Rex, our first place, there was a legendary restaurant in Soho called Jerry's. I don't know if you ever went to Jerry's, but it was on Prince Street. I think it's a Michael Kors store now. But Jerry knew kind of everybody in the art world. We kind of had everyone in the fashion world at the time because of Rex. And there was a guy named Omar who had a modeling agency. And we threw a party in what is now Lure Fish Bar and downstairs of Prada when it was a construction site. And I mean, I have to say that was the best party we ever threw in our lives.
Oh, wow.
De Niro held court for the whole night. And it was that, again, it was just that time, 1993. It was, it was like the era of when George Michael did that video with all those girls, Freedom. It was like that. That's what it looked like. I mean, anyone that was in that video was at this party all night long.
Amazing. So
I'll go with those 2, and I'll try and rack my brain to think what was in that ballpark. But for me, those were the 2 best that we ever threw. And opening night in Moscow was pretty spectacular, but also pretty dangerous. Although George Wayne came to the opening night in Moscow, along with 30 other Americans, in a kilt with no underwear. So you've got a gay black man running around Moscow in 1993. Not a safe thing. And then there was a coup in Moscow, literally the next day. And I was able to get all the people on a bus back to the airport, and we couldn't find George Wayne. And he showed up 2 weeks later, and we're like, oh my God, George, literally 2 weeks later, we're like, oh my God, George, we thought you were dead. We thought you were captured. He's like, oh no, I met the most fabulous Russian soldier, and we've been...
Listen,
So,
George Wayne, one of one. You mean?
one of one. One of one.
Okay, so who are 4 people you would have to dinner, either living or dead?
Okay, my dad is first, because I miss him, and
Okay.
I'd like him to be there. Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali,
Good.
and Obama.
Great. Sounds like a fun dinner. And then what are you grateful for kind of in this era of your life? Like not this Corona, but like in the last year or 2 or 3, what are you grateful for in this phase of your life?
Well, I mean, I'm most grateful for having a fantastic son who's, 19, and a lot of the Lotus people remember him as a 3 or 4-year-old boy who used to come, and they used to tape him to a chair in the office and spin him around, and a wife who's tolerant of my hours and my lifestyle. I try to be respectful, get home at something of a decent hour. But I think I think honestly, Damon, and again, it has been somewhat interrupted by what we're doing or what the world is going on. I'm most grateful for the fact that I'm still doing something that I really feel passionate about, and that we are developing 4 or 5 things that I think people are really going to love. And at the end of the day, as much fun as it is to talk about the celebrities and all that stuff, I think really the most pleasure I get is that story I told you when once a place, like often I'm at Jimmy and people don't know that I have anything to do with having created Jimmy, and I look around and I see 150 people having a great time, and I feel like we're providing a service for people, providing an environment for people that they really love, and they may meet the love of their life there, they may meet lifetime friends there, and just to have a finger in that is very gratifying to me.
Yeah,
I'm grateful to be able to do that stuff.
That's awesome. And then, this is a weird time. People's, it's a very strange time. How can people support you, or, I guess your businesses or your brands? Like, how can we support you at this moment, in this, very pandemic, strange moment?
Well, that's so kind of you to ask. I mean, look, I would love to see folks at American Bar or Cafe Clover, because that's the only 2 that we are open. But for me at this moment, my personal business is overshadowed, and I don't want to take this in the wrong direction, but it's overshadowed by what's going on in our country with the presidential race and with the election and with racism. And so, to be honest, I'm a lot less focused on my business at the moment. I'm fortunate that, I have enough money in the bank for 6 months to I'm not having a great time because we're not earning a lot of money right now, but I'm not really particularly panicked at the moment. I would be if it was going to go on for 4 years, but if it goes on for 6 more months, right now all I'm thinking about is November 3rd, as you can see from my hat. So, if people want to support right now, we have a website, We Are Not Trump-Inc., and I'm not making any money from this. I'm just trying to sell hats and masks so that we can give money to the political action committees that are trying to defeat Trump and flip the House and flip the Senate. Not flip the House, the House is Democratic, but flip the Senate. Because I'm very worried about our democracy. I really am. And I'm very worried about, as you said, it's something that's very much part of me. It's not something I think about consciously. I mean, now I do, because I've never been aware that the racism was so prevalent. I sort of was happily moving along in life that we elected a black man president.
You and me both. Listen, you and me both. Listen, I have learned so much in the past, 6 months about just so many things that I hadn't learned. I've learned a lot as well. So, but keep going. I'm sorry.
Wait, I assume someone is joking. I haven't been looking at these too much, but someone just wrote that Trump resigned. That can't be true.
No.
That would literally cause me to start drinking instead of dying.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing shots. We're doing shots right now.
We're doing shots.
No, I think it's
it's been a really interesting time, and I think I commend you for saying that your focus has only been that, not your business. That's very admirable. And there's a meme that's going around. It's like what would you have done in the civil rights movement in the 60s? Like, well, you're living in it right now. What are you doing? It's like, so, we all need to be doing something. I've said a million times. I said it's really a white people problem, the racism. And if we can't find things to do as white people, we are the problem. So that's what I've said. So
1,000%. And so, I just decided a couple of months ago that I have to do something. I can't sit back and, I don't have all the influence in the world. And, it's interesting you said that people may not be aware of the things that I've been involved with. And that's because I've deliberately sort of taken a back seat to some of them. I mean, Mark and Jeffrey were Mark and Jeffrey at that moment. Or when we did our very first place, even though, maybe back in college, I was the alpha guy because I was playing. But Will Regan was, when we did Rex, I mean, he was probably the most eligible bachelor in New York. It would have been stupid of me to try and be out front when, this guy is the handsomest guy on the planet and dating half the supermodels in the world. So, as I said, I've never really tried to self-promote myself. I've just tried to create these places that people will enjoy. And I kind of think of it as executive producing, assembling great teams of people to work with.
Yep.
I'd rather own 50% of a great thing than 100% of a half-assed thing. So I've always wanted to share and do projects with people that I thought were talented and cared and would deliver great product. And the only reason that I wish I had a little bit more of a profile at this moment is because of this issue. Because I would like to be able to single-handedly wave a wand and say, okay, stop it, you fools. Everyone vote for Biden and Harris. I don't have that power, but I'm trying to do what I can.
Yeah. I mean, well, you're doing something, which is the key. You're doing something. So, and I do commend you for that. Like I said, I really have, see people that don't care and people that do care. It's really very obvious, but, okay. So I do want to thank you. This is my 86th Legendary Talk, and I'm very thrilled to be doing it with you. You've been such a visionary. You've had your finger on the pulse of you've understood New York so well in a way of you understood New York and what it needs in a way that most people don't. You have done so many important things to culture and really curated in a way that a lot of people, like I said, maybe don't realize, with the staff and the championing for all the hip hop parties, all these things. You really have done so many amazing things with authenticity, with passion, with kindness. He's always been humble. Like I said, so many people love you. When I said I was interviewing you today, I've gotten so much feedback. People are texting me all day and very excited. And like I said, that just says so much about you. I just want to thank you for what you've done for New York City, for culture, for nightlife, and for being authentically yourself. So
thank you so much, Damon. I can't wait to do something with you. And if Frank's still listening, the three of us need to do it because I think people will come.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you very much, and you have a good night. And
stay safe out there.
Love you.
Okay.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.